I'd like to call to order the November 25th, 2025 meeting of Saugatuck Parks and Public Works Committee meeting. Sarah, can you call the roll?
Sure. Cherick.
Here.
Hoffman.
Here.
Kimball.
Here.
Roach.
Here.
Stanton.
Here.
And Teal.
Here.
I need to see you slip by me. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
A second.
Any discussion? Any additions? Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda? I think this is a voice vote, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, the agenda is approved. Now I need a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we approve the October 28th, 2025 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any corrections, additions to the minutes? All right, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And I just want to say, Sarah, you were just doing a fabulous. Did you do those minutes? They're fabulous.
They were great.
Really good.
Yeah. I second that.
Yeah, all in favor. Sarah did a great job. Okay, now we're at public comment on agenda items only. So do we have anyone in the room who wants to comment?
Got two members of the same club here.
Okay, do we have anyone online who would like to make a comment? Seems not. Okay, so let's move on. The next item on our agenda is the presentation. And that is Lisa Mize is going to, from the CBB, is going to present to us on the Rose Garden Warming Station.
Can you? Otherwise, do people have
They're
a
in the
packet in
packet.
front of them? Okay.
While we wait for that a second, I just want to, for anyone in the audience that might not be able to see what's going on, that you may hear some background noise. City Hall is getting our elevator worked on right now, so bear with us through that.
Thanks, Sarah.
Worked on or
For
replaced?
those of you who I have not met, I'm Lisa Mize, Executive Director of the Saugatuck Douglas Convention and Visitors Bureau. And also, if you don't have background on how this project came to be, I'm going to give you a quick condensed version, I hope. Our Board of Directors puts together a strategic plan every 3 to 5 years, much like the cities do. And the last time they did the strategic plan, something that rose to the top is obviously shoulder seasons and how can we increase traffic during the shoulder seasons. And so we did a study. We brought in 2 landscape architects, one from Chicago, one from South Carolina. We brought in a travel writer from Chicago, and they came here in February. We trounced around the Saugatuck Wilds. Yes, snow up almost up to our knees. It was quite fun. But we showed them the area, Saugatuck, Douglas, Fenville, and talked a lot about the physical assets of the area and how can we use those, utilize those, capitalize those for the future. And what came from that brainstorming sessions was a document that talks about about 12 initiatives. And the board wanted to pick off, I guess, some low-hanging fruit out of that document. And one of those was warming stations for Saugatuck and Douglas. So that's what's before you now. I've presented to City Council. I'll be presenting to the Historic District Commission, and Douglas has already approved theirs. So we're happy about that, and we're going to start moving forward with theirs. But what you have not in front of you, but up on the screen is the warming station rendering from Belden Brick, the designer there, for the Rose Garden. We talked about different locations in downtown Saugatuck with the City Council, and it just made sense, a lot of sense, to put it at the Rose Garden, even though there were other good locations named. The Rose Garden is central to everything downtown. And when you're looking at a warming station or a fire pit, for lack of a better word, you want a gathering place that's easy to get to. You want a place that people they'll see it. They'll see it when they're waiting for a restaurant. They'll see it when they are shopping, and you want it to be centrally located. So that's why the Rose Garden became our top choice. The Rose Garden also, we looked into this to make sure I can answer questions for you and hopefully, take care of that concern, was the fencing around it. So Jamie looked into the archives and found paperwork from many, many years ago when the Rose Garden was, before it came to be, there was a donor. And the donor did not have any prerequisites about that fence. It was the city manager at the time who thought that security was important, and he was the one that suggested the fencing. So what the CVB is hoping to, what we're proposing, is that the fence come down and it would be replaced by a brick wall or a bench, a seating bench, allowing people to be able to enjoy the Rose Garden. It also has, you'll notice on the rendering, 2 more entrances. So the main entrance and the place where the fire pit is, there's 2 entrances there, but then we would add 2 additional entrances on both sidewalks. And it just makes the Rose Garden, I think we're enhancing the Rose Garden. We're taking a wonderful downtown park and we're making it even better. And we're making it more welcoming to guests. A lot of times that fence became a barrier and people would see it and think, we can't go in there. So we're hoping to do away with that. There's very little change to the gardening itself. The only thing that might shift is when the fence down from Lulu Cadu, or excuse me, the opening for the entrance down from Lulu Cadu, when that goes in, we might have to shift the sculpture, the bike, slightly, one way or the other. But that's really the only change we're making. And then the monument will get shifted just back behind. You see it on the map or on the design itself. But we're not changing anything for the roses. Everything stays as the same.
So Lisa, you'll be using the existing pavers and everything that's there, that stays, or is
We
part of this that
have
comes
talked
out
to
and is-
Belden brick, and the garnet blend color right there is what we've tried to match to the existing pavers.
Okay.
We won't be able to match everything completely. So the subcommittee that I've been working with, it is Andrew Malakis, who is on our board of directors, Martin Horner, who owns the Wickwood, he's on our board of directors, and then John Canarsa, who sits on the Historic District Commission. Those 3 gentlemen are on my subcommittee, and you know that they have an eye for design. So they are not cutting corners, they're making sure that everything is going to look amazing. So when they are looking at that garnet blend, which is supposed to be as close as you can get to what the pavers are now, when they do the new entrances into the park, they will use the old ones coming in, and anything new will get shifted to the back. So it keeps the integrity of the park itself. And then you see on the screen the picture of the limestone and what that will look like on top of the bench. The drawing that you're looking at right now, that 10-inch high platform that the fire element will sit on is probably going to be higher. One of the concerns of Chris Peterson on City Council was the safety issue of the fire. And right now we're talking about raising that at least another 10 inches, if not more. And we'll hopefully get it out of little hands, their reach. And then the picture doesn't really depict the fire element, but the picture to the right is more the design that we're looking at. They've called it a teardrop. I think it kind of looks like a rose that hasn't completely opened yet. So it's very artistic. It's not just a fire pit. It's a little bit more than that.
Is that a custom fire pit, or they were able to find something that you can purchase like that?
I've been looking. There's a company in Australia that does exactly what we want. There's another one in the Netherlands, but I've found something very close to this in Denver, Colorado. So I'd like to avoid shipping costs and tariffs if I can.
Sure you've been asked this, but when you're taking the fence down, so the Entire Rose Garden is gonna be open 24/7.
Correct. Except in the winter, because another concern that was brought up by Russ Gardner on city council was that it would add to Scott's team's workload in the winter, having to shovel those sidewalks. And our subcommittee has come up with a compromise, I guess. But instead of leaving it completely open in the winter months, there would be a very classic black chain link fence that would go between those, the benches. All four entrances would be chain linked off with a sign that said closed for the winter. You'd still be able to get to the fire pit, obviously, but you can't walk into the rose garden.
So if somebody really wanted to get in there.
They could hop the chain link.
You mean
But
just like,
most people are not going to do that. No, just
the
those
entrances.
entrances, those four entrances.
how tall are the benches?
I think they're supposed to be, Sarah, does it?
Said, I think 18 inches.
18, yep. 18 is pretty typical for those benches.
Look at that.
I don't know,
I like it.
I think it's great, but I have some real concerns. I still think 10 inches higher, you're gonna have a liability for the city and burns. I just don't see that going away.
We've also,
What do other cities do when they
Yeah,
have?
I mean, that is absolutely.
you can
we-
put a fine mesh screen around the base so that fingers can't get through. Another option is, and the subcommittee has talked about this, is doing glass around the base so that you can't.
So it then it really becomes more of a visual
Yeah,
thing. It's not a warming station.
we're hoping that it's going to be a warming
I
station.
mean, if we're shutting it off when it's cold,
So,
we're.
I think they're only shutting off the garden. Is that correct?
Correct.
The warming station.
Yes.
Be open.
Just those four entrances, so you can't walk into the rose garden, but you can get to that warming station.
yeah, there are fire pits all over.
Yes.
And they usually have something inside that just keeps kids from putting their fingers in it. And I think that could be incorporated into the design easily.
Into the internal. so
Into
that
the internal.
Internal is really beautiful.
Yes.
I mean, if the
That's what we're
infrastructure
hoping.
Get up a propane, you'd be having infrastructure to do that?
It would probably be natural gas,
Natural
right?
gas.
Pumped in for natural, and then where would like the controls for that be located?
Not sure yet,
Oh, yeah.
Scott. Maybe if you have any suggestions, let me know.
Sure, I will.
Lauren mentioned a week or two ago that the way Ludington does theirs is that it's actually a timer. And so someone can push it, it'll go on for 10 minutes or so. It goes off automatically. And then someone else wants to enjoy the fire, they'll come up and push it again.
Yeah,
I
that's what
think
they do in
that's,
Ludington.
I think that's a really good plan.
Yeah.
And then it's not
It's nice
running,
it's not
it's not running
wasteful.
constantly.
Actually
Yeah.
going at that
Mhm.
point.
And Lisa, I do think like if you raise the circular platform that it's on, almost to like, I don't know, the height would be, a couple feet off the ground. That's what we have with our outdoor fireplace.
Okay.
When the kids were toddlers, like they would go right up to it. But then if you have it like just their length,
They can't
get
reach
to
it.
it. It has never been an issue. Ours is wood. And we always have extra kids running around and things. And we have not had an issue with it. So I
Good.
think if you did that plus the internal,
Mhm.
it would alleviate a lot of issues and you would still get the visual and the warmth that we're
We-
looking for.
We
So-
hear about the safety concern and we're going to try to answer that for you before we get any further. Theirs is up high.
Raised, yeah.
Yeah, like it's almost chest level for me. I'm short, but you can't reach in. It's completely enclosed. And theirs is, you've seen theirs, Keith?
I've seen it.
Yeah, so it's mostly brick. It's a huge bricks. I don't want to call it a sculpture, but it's a lot of brick and then there's openings on four sides,
Oh.
but you cannot put your hands in there.
I mean, even though like you're at your house, but that's a private residence.
Sure. No,
If there was, like,
understood.
General public,
Mhm.
that's a whole different issue.
Yes, for sure.
That people,
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Holland idea. That would make me much more comfortable.
We
Oh,
also
that's-
wanted it to fit, they thought about that. That was what started as the prototype, I guess. But they also wanted it to fit with the architecture of downtown Saugatuck and they wanted to add to,
Well,
To
that's the
what-
work on design.
yes,
That's always possible. You find a design that works for you, that works for the safety too.
right.
That's not a problem.
So I love that, I mentioned it during the city council meeting. I love the brick and being able to have more seating for people, whether they're eating ice cream in the summertime or they're having coffee in the winter. Yeah, it's just a more welcoming area and creating more seating. It's just really nice or a place for people to gather.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I really like the idea of kind of expanding the use, because I do love the rose garden, but ultimately, I think a lot of people do just walk by it because of the fencing, and I think opening this up and repurposing a piece of it for the shoulder season is smart.
Thank you.
There are a lot of people who don't really love shopping, and a lot of people come here to shop, and this gives them another way to participate,
Mhm.
which I think is really nice.
Thank you.
In spousal city.
Yeah, I mean, I love to see our parks activated, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love the new playground is because you just see so many people drawn to it. So I see this as another opportunity for that. I'm curious about funding.
Good question. The majority of this would be funded by the CVB, unbelievably, but it'll happen. And then to fill in what's not covered by the CVB, we're looking to the municipalities for a small portion, and then also to private donors.
Okay.
What's like the all-in cost of this?
Right now, I've got one quote from one mason. I reached out to 3. There'll also be a cost from a general contractor and landscaper. And I can tell you both projects, Saugatuck and Douglas, probably around 100,000. And the CVB, I have to get it approved by the board. They're going to be discussing it at the December meeting, how much they'll be putting toward both projects.
Said
100,000 for both projects. The majority of that is Saugatuck.
Oh, and there's one in Douglas as well?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, we're proposing one and they've approved it for Douglas.
Cool.
Theirs is a beautiful, I don't need to tell you about theirs unless you want to know.
Lisa, you mentioned during the city council meeting that some of the brick is being donated. Is that still the case?
Unfortunately, the brick that was donated will fit the Douglas
Oh,
one,
okay.
but it wasn't the right color for
fine.
Saugatuck.
Yeah,
Saugatuck
that's-
needed, so most of the brick, that reddish color brick, Belden Brick is giving us
Oh,
a
wow.
large portion of it, but she doesn't have enough for the whole project
Okay.
because of the seating bench and then also the pavers. She didn't have enough. So that's why most of the brick will match, but some of it will be the new.
We can talk more details as the project progresses a little bit too, but just out of curiosity, it is like that brick bench, does that butt right up to the edge of the sidewalk or is that going to be offset a little bit?
I think it comes right up to the sidewalk.
Only thing I'm thinking is like our sidewalk skid steer is like exactly the same width as our sidewalks. So when there's a blanket of snow over everything, the operator like has to be really precise. And so I can see the side of that brick kind of getting scraped up a little bit from
What would be your suggestion, Scott? for how
what we
much?
did with our right of way policy is we put some measurements in there to offset some of the stuff away from the sidewalk. So
Inches, what is it? 3, 4?
I can check back at our policy, but
Okay. Yeah, that would be good to know before we get further down the road.
yeah, definitely. But I can't remember if that sidewalk is more than 5 feet wide. The sidewalk itself might be,
Wider there.
it just seems a little wider, so it might be okay, but we still would probably want to be in compliance with our ordinance.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
Have you thought about whatever maintenance issues there might be? And one thing that comes to mind is I love the idea of sitting on the benches, and I can see kids with their ice cream cones sitting on the benches, and I can see them spilling them all over the benches.
I think it'll happen.
Rain.
It'll
So is that
happen.
something that you would have to add to your maintenance routine?
Or rain.
Yeah, we're gonna need.
And pressure washer. Yeah.
Uh,
Another
I
thing,
understand that bench, according to Scott, would hopefully be less maintenance than the fencing.
maybe,
Yeah.
we'll see. There's always kind of the unexpected, like,
Mhm.
we can't always see through everything, but I know that the fence that's there now, it does have some condition issues on the bottom of it. There's we had it repainted a couple years ago. Part of the scope of that project was to knock off some of the rust because the bottom of that fence does get exposed to salt from wintertime activities. But the other thing just maybe worth considering is we have like 2 decorative, we call them like Sternberg lights, like those black, there's one right outside of City Hall on the left as you walk out. We have 2 at that park along each side of it that I don't know if that would need to get relocated.
I'd have to see where they are.
Yeah,
And what is that?
it's like a black decorative.
They're like the old fashioned looking.
Oh,
lights.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can find out, Scott.
Okay.
Okay, and then just so I can get my head wrapped around it, the current like infrastructure, the pathways stay as they are. The sculpture that's in the back that we just did the ribbon cutting on
Stays.
stays in its location.
Mhm.
And really, it's just pushing back sort of the entrance.
Correct.
create
The
space
entrance
for this.
pushes back, but then you're going to have a new entrance just
Yep, and
down
the
from
two
the
new entrances.
sandbar and another one down from Lulu Cadu.
And then reuse of existing plants.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Did you consider other locations?
We did.
And you want to share those? or-
Sure.
Why?
One was down near the playground. It's my estimation and also my subcommittee's estimation, it was just too far away. Especially if people are walking around in the downtown area or they're waiting for a restaurant, to know that that's down there is really difficult. And then the other part was obviously Wicks Park would be another great location, but same thing. It's kind of, it pulls people away from the downtown, and we're trying to enhance the downtown. So that's why we landed on the Rose Garden.
Okay.
It would have been a lot cheaper to go to one of those other places.
It's in the middle of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, social
I think it's
district. Yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah.
great.
I just want to say thank you to the Convention and Visitors Bureau for all of the work you did, you know, leading up to getting to this point, and all of your volunteers that have, you know, put their design caps on and really, you know, donated their time to coming up with this beautiful design. And it's really needed in our community. So I really appreciate everything the CVB has done.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next thing on our agenda, basically, we're into our update section, section 7. And the first thing would be the DPW update.
Thank you. So first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to mention Blair Van Oss is a guy that worked for the Department of Public Works for 41 years. He actually taught me how to snowplow with the dump truck. When I was first learning, he got the privilege of laughing at me as I hit a couple curbs, you know,
Mayor's mailbox.
the mayor's mailbox at the time. Yeah. But you know, a 41-year career, you know, that's an awfully long career, especially to today's standards. I think that it just, there's no telling how many projects that guy had touched within the city. If you look at our leaf pusher that we mount to the front of our backhoe, it says BVO on the front of it because he made that. It was a fabricated piece of equipment, along with the Oval Beach gate, the gate behind Public Works off of Maple Street, the city dump site off 63rd Street. Each of those were made by him, and they say BVO on it. So he passed away on Monday, November 17th, and I just, you know, being the Parks and Public Works Committee, I just felt like he deserved a few sentences and recognition for his work. So it was a real privilege working with him the few years that I did. So as far as other administrative updates, I just kind of wanted to touch base on a lot of the projects that we have going on. Maple Street, that's still underway, potentially, not potentially, it's going to be going out to bid here really soon, and with a projected start date of spring of 2026. And then along with that, anytime we have a big project, we try to tack on a few other projects while we have contractors in town. We don't let them leave. So, yeah, so they're also going to be working on Mary Street in between Water and Butler Street. There's a catch basin by the Wickwood Inn that's very low and kind of settled and sunken in, and that road is due for some resurfacing. So they're going to take care of that for us before Memorial Day of 2026. We have some miscellaneous seawall and concrete repairs. Council approved this work to be done. This was to button up some of the damage that had been caused by the high water levels back in around 2020. We put it out for bid at one point and didn't get any bidders for it. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to tack that onto that bigger project and that we would get a little more interest in it this way. Also, the DPW driveway is going to get repaved. And then we've experienced an issue with a sewer lateral that we have that goes from the inside of the building all the way back to Maple Street. So it's a pretty long sewer lateral. We started, Michelle and the city engineer, John Moxie and I, we did a preliminary walkthrough of Elizabeth Street. We want to get that in front of city council to initiate a design proposal to start on Elizabeth Street. That's going to need new water main. So if everything goes according to schedule and our capital improvements plan, that would be a road project for 2027. And then shortly after that, Park Street, that'll be a big one, especially as we try to, we heard loud and clear from our master plan survey that, the community wants more, non-motorized pathways and connectivity. So Park Street's going to be a tricky one to get through, but it's been a conversation that I have known about for probably 30 years at the city of Saugatuck. And I think we're getting pretty close to the point where we can take some action on that. As outlined again in our CIP. So asphalt repairs 2025, that work is completed. Again, that was the Hoffman Street dead end west of Water Street. As you approach the river, it was just, the pavement was gone. And then the Wicks Park parking lot, that got repainted, I think this week still. So typical Saugatuck, it's supposed to snow on Thanksgiving, and yet we're out there still painting roads, using every minute of time that we can to get these projects across the finish line. And then there was a small patch on Lucy Street as well that got taken care of just east of the Butler Street intersection. Chain Ferry, Diversified Welding is supposed to install our newly created arbors. They replicate the existing ones. There's a couple minor upgrades to them, but none of them are visual. And then also a little bit of design work on the landings. We're still trying to wrap our heads around the scope of work of what needs to be done and how to get that work done to repair the landings underneath. Holiday light expansion, thank you, Michelle Gibson. She's been really worried. The amount of detail involved between just to expand the lights, it involved Chips Ground Cover, who actually installed the tree wrap lights, and then Polarity Electric, who helped us out with some much needed electrical upgrades. I see that block over by Glick Street was still on even in the rain today, which is nice to see. So we finally got that fixed. And then also Consumers Energy. So high degree of coordination over the past 3 months. I don't know how many emails you've sent, but it had to have been 50 plus easily. And then also the DPW staff, they completed all the park decorations. So Coughlin Park, City Hall, all those types of areas. City Hall, as you can tell, we have the elevator being worked on right now. Jamie and some of the other city staff members are working on an interior remodel. Sidewalk replacements, we had a pretty aggressive plan to replace a bunch of them this fall. We didn't get to all of them. So unfortunately, I think the weather's going to force some of those to take place in the spring. Village Square Courts, a grant's going to be awarded pretty soon. I think December 10th, if I
December
remember.
10th is the day it's supposed to be announced, so.
She knows the exact date. Frontier and fiber internet installations throughout the city. That's been taking place. That's a high degree of involvement with Public Works. Right now, the guys are out there doing our peak brush and leaf collection, which they're pretty much married to that equipment right now until all those leaf piles are picked up. After that, the second we get done with that, somehow before Thanksgiving, we're also going to have to install some snowplow equipment on our trucks. We have one salt spreader ready to go kind of as a backup, but we need to be done with leaves and then convert that equipment over to winter time. It's always pretty stressful for us. CVB, we got the Flower World. Looks really nice out there. Also, we just talked about the Rose Garden warming station. And then also, I think Ashley helped us identify the need of getting some sculptures cleaned around town. So we just recently had a guy come and clean 8 of our sculptures throughout the city. Just did a tree risk assessment with our arborist. That's going to outline a plan for us for which trees we're going to be removing this winter. I think you'll want to know what that list is. So we'll make sure you get that list whenever we get it finalized. And then Mount Baldhead, restrooms underway, upper platform, that's underway. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the revegetation, invasive treatment, and deer management proposal in front of us, along with the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area proposal that we got from ODC. We have that citywide invasive species inventory. Got a really nice proposal. I want to thank Tanner at ODC, put a great map together to really locate the specific areas that we're talking about. New truck purchase, we have to rotate one of our pickup trucks out along with sell a few pieces of equipment, including our old front end loader. Sorry, Sarah. I'll wrap it up soon. Uh, What's that?
It's learning shorthand.
Well, I think this is, we have a lot of projects going on right now. And so,
When do you not?
we're never bored. I can tell you that. This one's exciting. Oval Beach, there's a few different touch points I want to talk about. The one is we just filled the Oval Beach manager role in Angela Sasowicz. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Really excited to get her on board. She starts on Monday. And then we did push out, you may have seen an RFP to lease out the concession stand. I think hopefully we get some interest from local business owners. I could just see it being like retro beach concessions. Oh, it'd be so great if it was.
Yeah, you can sit in a donut boat.
And then we have to replace some of the roller covers on the concession building too. So also Michelle and I, along with our city engineer, we're going to be taking a really deep dive over the next few months and present to council and this group too. Probably sometime in February, our asset management plan and capital improvements plan. So really outline what are the next 6-7 years worth of projects that we're going to be focusing on and how much do they cost and really have that dialed in. So those are the projects that we have going on while simultaneously going through our daily activities of cleaning restrooms, emptying trash, Mystic locates, like right now, the tree at Coughlin Park, something tripped, so the tree's not on. So we're constantly kind of turning lights back on for Christmas decorations. We've got training going on. Angela, when she's on board, we're going to have to get her CDL license, and also AJ, who replaced Chad in our parks. He's still working on his CDL license right now. We have motor pool that's in very much need of maintenance, emergency responses, constant sand at Oval Beach parking lot, and then we have all the special events that we assist with as well. So there's a lot to do. So I will stop. Have fun with those minutes, Sarah.
Looking for employees, right?
Oh, yeah. So no, with Angela, we'll be at full capacity. So I think beyond that, it's just gonna.
Great job, you guys. Just
Separate.
doing it and then coming back and like filling in all the sides of the dirt. No, I didn't expect that. It was like, oh, look what happened.
Thank you.
And done quickly. I mean, it was amazing.
Just start planting pine trees so there's no leaves.
That's a good point.
Oh, there's,
Good.
that's an option.
Also, no site visibility at intersections or.
Oh, yeah. we don't want that. No.
Okay, we have a lot to cover, so let's keep moving. Next thing on the update discussion is just Pocket Prairies. Of course, that's me. And all I wanted to say was that I have asked for proposals for the two areas that I've been reporting on, which would be the end of Mason Street, that embankment at Mason Street between Upper and Lower, and then also the drainage area at Coughlin Park. So I've asked ODC, Kalamazoo Nature Center, and then remember John Cleese, who presented to us a couple of months ago? I just asked him for an actual proposal. So I'm hoping to have all of those by December so we can at least chat about those and consider them. And I have no pictures this time or anything. I didn't. And then Village Square Courts already, Scott highlighted that we're expected the grant decision, I guess, December 10th, if we'll get the extra grant from the Michigan DNR Trust Fund, which I believe they've asked for 100,000, I think. And anyway, so if we get that, we'll be full steam ahead. If not, I guess we'll be thinking about what we're doing instead. So there's nothing else to report on that. Mount Baldhead revegetation. So we've been talking about this now for several meetings, and we presented some, basically we had gotten proposals from ODC. We also got a proposal from Kalamazoo Nature Center. And then we had requested one from, I forget the name of that firm, but anyway, they never did come through. We've looked at both of them. We've actually had meetings subsequent, Scott and I have, with Tanner at ODC, and then Scott was out of town, but I had a meeting with Luke and talked some more about his proposal from Kalamazoo Nature Center. And we're really kind of zeroing in on the one from Outdoor Discovery Center. And so you saw that in the previous packet. It's in your packet again, only because we did make a few changes to it. And so in case you didn't line them up side by side to figure out what the differences are, just real quickly, the original proposal was $10,000 to remove the invasives And it's still $10,000 to remove the invasives. Then ODC had recommended $7,500 for the plantings. And we thought maybe that was a little bit light. So when we talked to Tanner, and we had come up in the meantime with the additional information, when Scott was able to unearth the document, which was included in the packet, if you were able to figure that out, from 2013 of what the planting.
Take me a minute to figure out.
Oh,
this is like
what's on there?
historical.
Yeah. What the plantings were, and that's just so amazing that we actually have that document. And then what was, and then, they basically had a whole plan, and they put all this stuff in. And you saw the letter from Eagle, at the time was Eagle, saying, yes, city of Saugatuck, you're good, you revegetated that dune. And now everybody's like, hey, we need to revegetate the dune, because evidently a lot of that stuff just didn't take. So when we met the second time with Tanner at ODC, we talked a lot about that. And he, at this point, then had that information of what was previously there, which he hadn't had before. And we also talked a lot about what could cause these plants, not to do well. So the one piece of the puzzle that's still missing, and Sarah, can you pull up the packet? I just wanted to show we're looking for deer protection and also human protection. Because, I had gone out there, remember this summer, I couldn't do it, I was on a scooter, but anyway, I subsequently was able to go out there. And I had my little tribe with me, and we traipsed up that dune, and there were other people coming down at the same time. And I just feel like if we put a lot of plantings in and we really let people continue to do that, I don't see how these plants are going to take off. And then, of course, there's the deer. So there's so many slides, keep going. It's the one. Anyway, so when we talked to Tanner about this, he came up with a good suggestion to make it so that we kind of fence it off, but we don't make it just look like, it's huge orange, construction fencing all the way around this area, because we'll probably need to leave it up for a couple of years until this stuff gets established. So there is a slide. Keep going. I was one towards the end. Oh, nope, not that far. I should have looked to see what page that was on. Said it was before that last part. Scott, can you recognize it?
Which, is it the one that like with the specific tree inventory, or is it?
No, I was just
Or the
thinking of the one where
path?
it's basically a graphic, then it showed a couple of areas actually fenced off. So what the fencing from the deer protection would just be a couple of small areas, because you have to build a really high fence to keep deer out.
Got two little red squares on it.
Yeah, that one. What number is that?
That is 39, I believe.
Okay, Sarah, thank you, Keith. That's it.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. So you see the little squares, that's where they would build like the high fencing, but then all the significantly sized trees will also have tubing to keep those from being eaten. And then there would be just some barrier fencing and signage to tell the humans not to approach. But that basically, we had the budget up to that point was 20,000 for everything, and then this is kind of an add-on. So I've asked Tanner to give us a quote for what it would take to do this as well. And I haven't gotten that yet. So I think what we want to do is just wait until our December meeting. We should have that by then. And then we can vote to approve this. There's no rush because no work will be done, until next spring anyway, when they would start to treat invasives. So that's just an update.
I think the fence is attractive. It's not orange or ugly. So there's that,
Orange fence.
I'm not a fan of the orange fence. It's just, and it's needed for those trees to establish.
I think what it comes down to, and you don't have to have an answer right now, but just maybe reflect on this a little bit. We're preparing to make this recommendation to council, and it's going to involve some combination of invasive species removals and treatment, revegetation, and then deer repellents. So I guess the question is going to become, the original mission from city council was to revegetate the dune. Would it be reasonable for us as the recommending body to maybe go a little bit past the budget of 20K and say, we want to recommend doing a budget amendment, but also include the invasive treatments and the deer management in the plan also on top of the revegetation? Or do we want to try to combine all three of those activities within that $20,000 budget that was set for this? That's really the.
And I did ask Tanner if we could defer, since we're at 20 without this deer protection, if we could defer that until 2026. So I thought that might be another way to handle it. So,
Yeah.
So then we'd be at the 20 that's budgeted and we can just, as long as everybody's clear and that's how it would work. Any discussion? I want to keep this moving. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update.
The only thing I would say is I think it's smart to have some of the signage options. Is that in addition, that's extra?
That's what we're waiting. That's what we would need to get the quote for.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's smart, to try to keep the public off from those sensitive areas.
Where do they access those areas? From the right, from the north side or from the?
Like, I never.
Probably most likely the north.
To the north where the old road used to be, they went up to the radar dome.
I think so, yeah.
No.
Well, are you talking about from
No,
behind the pavilion?
The radar.
Yeah,
dome.
that's what I.
Behind the
Yeah.
pavilion.
Behind
right,
the
that's what I'm
pavilion.
Talking about.
Yeah, Spear Road.
But
Yeah,
there-
it's true.
That,
They moved the road, you're right. Back
But-
in the day.
but the day that I walked up it, there were also people who'd been up to the top and then they were coming down.
Yeah.
So you can really, you have to block it off from
I
both,
just hiked it on Sunday.
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
ends, I mean, yeah.
So
Yes.
there's fencing there though.
No, you can get right through there. There's fencing, but not anything that would,
Around the dome and the building.
right,
Right, so maybe more fencing.
right. Well, that's what this would be, is
Sorry about that,
to
Scott.
to prevent the human traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we wouldn't be fencing off the entire area that's going to be revegetated, just because that would be extensive, expensive, and it would also be probably a little bit unsightly. So,
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'm going to move on then.
Okay.
To invasive species, just you have the proposal from ODC, and I think you might have seen that previously, but the only thing that's really different about it is that they had not included the wilds. And so I asked them to go back and add for the wilds, and that was an additional 4,000. And also ODC had just been out there, a few years back, so they're pretty familiar with those invasives already. So, and here again, this is just for an assessment. This isn't to, resolve anything. So this will just be to come back to us and with a report on what all of our invasives are.
I thought the $160,000 donation included the invasive species at the wilds. That was part of the plan, that was part of the $160,000 donation.
Which is
So-
why it's only 4,000 to actually kind of revisit
So it's
it.
additional
It's just 4. I mean, well,
going.
right, just 4. As long as I'm not writing the check, it's only 4. So-
The invasives are not, unfortunately, they're not like a pay for it and forget it kind of thing. It's just ongoing.
Thought it was more of a continuation thing.
And I want to just add too about the wilds on the invasives, like just kind of the importance of it, because attached to the wilds is also the DPW site where we bring all the brush piles and all the leaves that we're trucking out of town. We're probably trucking 200 plus dump trucks out of town between late last week and the end of this week. There's some invasives in there, and this is those brush and leaf services that we provide are a large contributor to the invasives problem that we have out at that property. So I think that it's money well spent. And we have somewhat of an obligation to include that property.
All right, so I have a question. What about when you bring that 200 dump load out there? Does it stay there forever? Does it decompose by itself in the back behind that pile of
Yeah.
lumber?
Yeah, there's like a brush pile that we separate the leaves from like the brush. Any brush, we burn it periodically. But
There's burn-
permitted from the fire department and in the wintertime, but you love fire.
Station. Bonfire.
There's a theme.
We'll bring out a food truck. It'll be awesome.
All right.
All right, thanks.
So yeah, we're not recommending that we move forward with this at this time either, right? You didn't put the motion in there, did you?
I don't see what would hold us back. I mean,
Oh.
we can bring it to the next meeting too, if you guys want to digest it a little bit further, but we reached out to a few different entities. I think the Allegan Conservation District were willing to help us out. And then also, the Kalamazoo Nature Center was willing to help us out too, but it was just gonna be an additional expense in dollars. And, from my experience working with the ODC, they just have a way of balancing the work that we need to do. And they just make it easier for us. And, at the same time, they're budget conscious. So I think the plan that they put in front of us, I'm comfortable with if anyone wanted to.
So didn't we already vote on page 40? And then what are we being asked to?
I don't think we did.
We voted on it the last meeting.
Harbor Natural Area last time.
So this is,
This is,
This
so
is the
basically,
citywide
yeah, we've been working
invasive
on
species.
sorry.
three different projects, all which include invasives.
I know.
We got a lot.
We got a lot of invasive. Yeah, so we did actually, as Scott said, we reached out to Allegan Conservation and they initially had talked like they could help us, but then they just kept not coming through. Same with Kalamazoo Nature Center. They were like, well, that's a really big project. Can you kind of narrow it down? What do you want to focus on? And the idea here was, well, we don't really want to narrow it down because, you know, we just want to know what our whole, we'll have to narrow it down when it comes time to try to figure out what we treat first. But, you know,
This is-
what's our issues?
It's the same amount of money that we approved for the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area. Is that correct?
Right. But it would be obviously an addition. So,
How does everyone feel? I mean, we can look it over and then we can decide that we want to make a motion for whatever we want to make a decision for next meeting. And we're not in a hurry.
Yeah,
It's-
right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good idea also because we've got still, our big thing we want to cover on is our, you know, and kicking off our planning for 2026. So, all right, we'll plan on voting on that next meeting. Okay, so let's start. Sarah, can you bring up, I guess, start with our 26 planning starts with page 44 and okay. Can you bring up the table? So I didn't look up what page that was on, but basically it says 2024 master plan recommendations, but I think it was actually 2025. Oh, no, that's right. That was the master plan recommendations. Our plan recommendations are 2025. So scroll down a little bit past the graphics.
45.
It's a table.
Yeah.
No, keep going.
Keep going,
Go on, 40, yeah,
keep going.
do another.
All the comments.
All the comments,
Oh,
right.
good.
A lot of comments.
Yeah, I'm glad everybody responded.
Mhm.
Lots of opinions. Okay, there we go. Okay, so to recall, we worked on this last year about this time, and everything in black is basically what we had put together last year, and I added comments in red for, you know, where do we stand on each of these things? And I actually can't really read that. So, but let's try to go real quick because if we don't need to spend time on it, you know, we're going to move on. What we're trying to come up with is a list for 2026. So Mount Baldy, you know, the recommendation was for restrooms, step repair, and the deck. Then also it was what about the invasives, the parking lot, and the radar building. So we've taken care of the restrooms. The invasives are part of the proposal we just talked about. Can you clarify for me, Scott, on the deck and the steps? I was thinking.
Yeah, it's all, I think it's still a spring 2026 project. It's just a lot of permitting to go through since we're working in critical dunes.
Okay, so we don't need to focus on that.
Nope.
It's
It's to council.
Underway.
It's
Yep.
underway.
You've already moved it along.
Do we need to talk about the parking lot?
No,
Good, okay. Nothing with Mount Baldy left.
Mhm.
Would we agree with that?
other than the invasives and the revegetation, which we are getting to.
Exactly. Okay, Village Square, we've already talked about that, so we know that that one is underway. We don't need to spend time on that. Airport property.
It's now the wild. So we did a ribbon cutting.
Yes,
Fantastic.
and that was basically the naming, and thank you very much, Kelly, for leading us through that. Okay, Cook Park, So basically, well, we had willow tree removal. What's next? Well, obviously that got done. The tree got planted, and then, the comment basically that I made was, we talked a lot about confusion with that park. What it consists of, what are the boundaries, who owns what? And we did some work on it, but I still don't think we ever figured it out. So I guess the question is, do we still want to keep that on the list, just so we have a better understanding of what's a park?
I personally view that as a manager council decision on what agreements we're entering into with our park properties and street ends.
Well, I just would say that because we are the Parks and Public Works Committee, I think it'd be good for us to have a good understanding of,
boundaries.
the boundaries of the parks and what part.
Yeah, if there's like some sort of explanation that we can send to everybody here, so you are all aware of what the yacht club, what their agreement is, and with the owners of, the boardwalk properties, maybe that would be helpful.
Do we get a survey with that? Do we get boundaries with that?
You'll have to look at what the agreement is, and our city manager can send that
Yeah.
to everybody.
In relation to the street ends too, I think that, when we give our recommendations to council, I think ODC or the Kalamazoo River Greenway actually is working on some kayak launch ramps. And I think if we better understand
Sure.
the street ends,
Yeah.
we can maybe
Mhm.
figure out where to put a couple of.
Yeah,
these.
every year, the city council approves the street end leases. And they're some of them are long-term leases.
That, I
Yeah.
don't have a problem with any of
But
that. I mean, well.
We can get you guys all up to speed on that.
I'd love to know, couple access points down the line that we can put in a. kayak launch
Absolutely.
ramp.
I know of some, so I could help with that. Yeah.
Okay, so we may want to add that to the list because that's not really covered here. Wicks Park, we had restroom improvements and, without jumping ahead to the survey of the residents, that one came up as,
A lot.
a lot.
Mhm.
So, I think we want to keep it on the list. I don't know if we need to talk about it any further, but I don't think.
Yeah, I think absolutely
Anybody
keep it
have
on the
a
list,
problem
and I
with
think
keeping that on the list?
It rolls right up to what Scott had said about like the capital assets management plan. I think like a lot of that is in that infrastructure piece.
Okay, Oval Beach. So the only thing we had at this point last year was the playground spinner. And I think we've all figured out that that wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So we still have the
No.
spinner. So we can have a separate project for what to do with the spinner. But as far as Oval Beach is concerned, that wasn't it. And then I think I had under here, C, long-term planning, because we talked about possibly like redoing the concession stand and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I would like to consider, and then we'll get into our parties, but again, what Scott said about just the asset management plan, obviously Oval Beach is one of our greatest assets that we have from an environmental standpoint, and also from a financial standpoint of things that could happen. And so I think that could be something that the committee could do as a long-term thing to kind of come up with ideas. And then obviously, and then it'll be a council decision, but we could definitely help that project along. So I would love to see us tackle kind of what does that look like long-term?
I would too. I mean, the Oval Beach, the buildings out there are just kind of a prime example of, like, are they due for replacement? No, I mean, it's a brick building. It's going to last a very, very long time, but is it really suiting today's needs? I question that. Sounds like maybe some other people do too. So at some point, we do want to slide that over on our capital improvements plan and start working on that. So.
Okay, we'll keep that on the list, or we'll have that on the list. Peterson Preserve, so as far as the invasive, that's going to be covered in this comprehensive invasive assessment, but we also still have the issues with the infrastructure. And if you recall, that's where what controls the water level is actually on the Peterson Mill property.
Mhm.
And so that isn't anything that, while the city owns the nature preserve, they don't actually own the mechanics that keep the pond full. And so it's been a working relationship with Eric Peterson. He's great to work with, but Eric is not getting any younger. So I just think this should stay on the list.
Just being clear.
As all of us are not getting any younger. Okay, let's keep moving. That's okay. All right. So then we had Saugatuck Natural Area, Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area. So I think we are set on that. Well, actually, remember what ODC is doing for us is they're doing a trail assessment and they'll come back to us with a trail plan. So it will need to stay on the list because I think then we'll have to be able to decide what actions we want to take based on what comes out of their assessment.
Yes, and then, council will be, has on that they'll be looking at logos and also signage, universal signage. So that would also be a part of that.
Right.
And so whether we can aid them in that or if that becomes a council project.
All right.
Be
Can
a
I just
question.
bring up the signage for a minute? Is this a long-term project for the council or? can we-
Again, we've had this conversation a lot and whether or not we can get signage up there sooner than the long-term signage reboot.
And
yeah.
you probably asked us 5 times already. Are
Yeah.
you working with Saugatuck Douglas, the CVB? Who is the council working with on this signage?
We haven't started that project yet.
I would like us to take that over because I feel we could get it done with the other communities and CVB possibly involved in 6 months.
Yeah, it's money and it's the budget and what we have money for and what's on the priority list of getting
Yeah.
things started.
My understanding is that the council is really looking to the manager to lead that charge.
Yeah,
All right.
Yep.
Well, just a recommendation from me, we can probably get it done, sign whatever, and then it can go to council for final approval, but
okay,
we have gotten things done in the past.
yeah. Yeah, I can only tell you where we're at with the city manager.
Who is incredibly busy.
Yes.
But Kelly, did you want to make your comment? When we talked the other day, you talked about, at least from the parks perspective, we could identify the signs that we think would be, helpful.
Mm.
And I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, individual signs. So yes, we could go around and say, hey, this is what we think, the opportunities are for signage, right? So I think we could aid in that way. So that would be something that we would see. Does the city manager or council want us to work on that? We talked about, we do need a sign out the wilds because right now we've got the cones that are identifying that. And that was something that came up. I know.
Yeah.
I know. I know I was out there.
Road commission's gonna plow them
Yep.
away. if-
Yeah, so anyway, I do think that there's opportunities. I also think there's opportunities for collaboration, like it was brought up with the new principal at the high school, and we have this incredible instructor up there, Vince Heiser, who works with the industrial wood shop and welding and things like that. And they have asked if there's a project that we
I
could
think
do.
we're just waiting on
So-
the county road commission to give us the full approval to be able to put a sign there.
Okay.
I really think that there's a way to do it and not really even have anything in the right of way. I think that if we could widen the width of that driveway, so it's not so overgrown with brush,
Right.
then we could put a proper sign back just outside of the right of way. So if it's a 33-foot right of way, we put the sign at 34 feet away from the center line. So when it's on our private property still,
Okay.
but at one point I had I think the manager and I were gonna maybe do a site visit out there. I had a plan to maybe bring a brush hog out there, and just clear back the like brushy vegetation so you can see the place
Good.
from the road.
Mhm.
I'll
As
be
far as
entertained.
signage at the Saugatuck Harbor Natural Area, being that that comes out of the endowment fund, I don't see why we couldn't do that ahead of time. We've
Mhm.
mentioned it a bunch of times. So
Yeah.
it should be something that we can get out of the endowment.
Yeah, the only thing is that we wanted to make sure that whatever we put there is in keeping from a universal standpoint of
Then it takes a
all
little
of
bit
the other
longer.
things. And
Then
so
it
that's
takes
why
longer.
I thought, from my perspective, I wanted to have a level of patience with it because I would love for it to be done once and done
Yeah.
properly, right?
Yep.
So, because obviously with the flow of the residents here and also the tourists that come through, people don't know when they're crossing into the township, Douglas, the city, right? And so to have an overall plan for that, I think would be really, really helpful for the long term.
Yep.
So,
But it would make sense, excuse me, for us to at least figure out where we think signage is needed.
Yeah.
And so we could start to at least offer up, this is when the new logo is put together, and then that's,
Mhm.
to me, that's the big thing that's gonna hold it up, because then you're gonna figure out, well, what kind of sign goes
Yep.
where. We'll already have figured out where we want signs.
Yep.
So we would at least be that much ahead of the game. Okay, so I think we don't really have signage identification. Let's maybe call that
Okay.
as our project. Okay. The next thing I had on here was Coughlin Park. And that was because, we didn't go through all the comments from the master plan survey, but you all hopefully read all of those. And then you saw my little spreadsheet where I tallied up because I kept seeing this restroom comment over and over again. So I finally had to do the analysis and figure out how many times that came up. And because I thought what was important was it wasn't just like a multiple choice, but when you ask people their comments about what could make the parks better, they spontaneously wrote this down, and it was actually 1/3 of all comments included some reference to restrooms. So I just thought that, we shouldn't be doing these surveys. I always say, don't ask my opinion if you're not going to, use it or consider it. And so we asked people to fill these surveys out. It took a long time. So, my opinion, you gotta look into this. So, and the big thing was Coughlin Park. So there's just no restrooms, public restrooms at that end of the city. So I was putting it on our list. It's really, I guess, a council priority.
Just to give you a little background, we've applied for grants that would help with that bathroom because we would also get some fish cleaning stations. And that's where we were kind of stuck at that point because we were kind of hoping to get a grant that incorporated the fish cleaning stations with, the the plumbing and everything that goes along with creating that, and also get bathrooms out of the deal when we hopefully receive that grant.
Yeah.
And yep.
It's more complicated, if you just put a survey out to the public and say, what do you want?
Yeah.
You're gonna hear a lot of responses but a bigger portion of that conversation, the city has definitely received the feedback from the public that they would like a restroom on the south side of town somewhere. Coughlin Park continuously comes up, but there's also the conversation of the cost. How much does that cost? And it's not just the purchase of the building itself. It's staff capacity, the time and money spent on it, and then upkeep on the building and whatnot. So yes, it's something that the community has said that they want, but we also need to maybe put some information together on what the true cost would be and see if people are willing to pay for that.
Yep.
The maintenance, does it have to be cleaned daily?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another person, that's 3 months.
So, with our strategic plan as council, this conversation comes up every year because it is something that people want. But the need for those bathrooms is such a short amount of months. It's only during the peak summer months. So that's why we did temporary. We've always said maybe we have better temporary bathrooms. Maybe that's a better
So we've looked into
solution.
like executive,
Yeah,
like.
The trailer
restroom-
ones
Yes.
that are a little
like
bit nicer, where you can change your clothes
Like-
and it's not just, yeah. So, that has definitely been looked into.
Yeah.
I think our goal though is just, obviously, we're not going to design the restroom or make any decisions on it. It's more just, we're coming up with recommendations for council to consider.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, we'll put it on our list, and obviously it's already on their list.
Yeah.
But, we're just trying to give a comprehensive list.
Absolutely.
So, I'm happy to have more discussion, but I was just trying to keep it moving.
And if
Yep.
it's about amenities on this end of town, is there another space that would be more conducive? Like, have we looked at the renovation of this building and what that would look like? I can see Coughlin Park from here. If there was signage to say, then you're not taking up what is really coveted green space, right? And it's like, there was signage. So I don't know that this is the answer, but can we also be creative where it's like, we already have plumbing here and we do want to drive people to learn more about the city. So like, is that a way to do that? I don't know, but.
Yeah. This is where I think I'm really excited for this group, because what I'm hearing is you're having a conversation about capital improvements planning. So that's really what this is. And so I'm really excited for John Moxie and I to get to a point later on this winter. I think probably February, maybe the end of February, we'll bring that presentation to this group. And all of these assets and wants are going to be listed out on that. That asset management plan is going to have all of our current assets, but we also need to consider what are the needs going into the future too.
Yeah. And you're talking about, this is roads, buildings, parks, everything.
Every asset that the city owns.
Yeah.
Huge document.
And we would create a timeline on things as far as
Yes.
like what the actual needs are,
Yep.
and then take it. to
Somebody in the
Council
public,
priority.
comes up to you and says, my gosh, Elizabeth Street is in terrible shape. When is the city going to fix it?
Yeah,
Here you go.
this would be great, because I think then we can also be advocates for the
Yes.
city and staff and council and all the hard work that's being done. Then we have answers for that.
Bingo.
So,
I have
Yeah.
a question about a piece of land. Where Lyle Jones Park is, kind of across the street, on Butler, there's those 3 vertical pipes. It's right there. And, you know, and they're in a vacant piece of land.
Oh, behind the building on the,
Yeah. What, do you know anything about that?
it's not our property, so I really don't know.
But I love the idea of
All right.
saying if we can piggyback it on, if we're gonna renovate this building at some point again. And piggyback it on here, because I keep thinking, we were talking about restrooms, and I keep looking in my mind, seeing brick squares in the middle of a park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And it
agree.
goes,
I know.
you
It-
know,
There's no room in this building.
This,
yeah, you know.
There's really not actually.
No, I know.
We had an internal, this is kind of a funny one. We had an internal staff meeting about the re-renovations to City Hall. And Ryan, the manager, said, hey, there's nothing off the table at this point. And I think everyone kind of looked at me like I was crazy when I said, what about? I know it's not going to happen, but if we're really, sky's the limit, you know, the reality is we do have restrictions on, you know, the city is built out, you know, the majority of the percentage of the city is built out. So when it comes to the functions of this building and what we do with it and the use to accommodate even new staffing, where do we put people? You know, I kind of jokingly, I said, what about a third floor? And everyone's so. I know that would never happen, but yeah, but we truly are. That's you know, that's really one of our kind of our obstacles that we're faced with right now is just that, you know, we need space to do these things and really bring the city into the future.
Yeah.
okay, so I don't know the best way to move forward on Coughlin Park. I mean, or a restroom at this end of town, because I agree.
So
I would
let's do it as
prefer-
part of the conversation for the capital asset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if we
Let's put that down. It's like, you know, I mean, this is what people are saying that they want. And, you know, as elected officials and those that are appointed by elected officials, like we can
can-
talk about what that would look like, right?
exactly.
Yeah, and I guess it would be, if council wanted to give it to us as a project to explore, we'd be happy to look into it. It seems to me like it needs some research, it needs some thought. Somebody needs to really focus on, well, what are the options? Where could you put it?
Possible solution, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The
you know,
format of the capital improvements plan that Michelle and I are really going to be working on, and Fleece and Vanderbrink, if you look at their capital improvements plan that they make, council really likes that capital improvements plan because it breaks it down from like a 6 or 7 year outlook of what we're going to be focused on. So going further with that, if we have this asset management capital improvements plan document, we have all of the city's assets listed on that plan somewhere. Then ideally there would kind of be a box of menu items, the things like Coughlin Park restrooms that we hear, that we get feedback all the time, that, or maybe council wants to say, hey, you know what, it's time. We're going to work on Oval Beach concession buildings, or we're going to finally work on, you know, the restroom at Coughlin Park, and kind of have those items that council and this committee can recommend, saying, hey, it's time we slide that over and get it on the capital improvements plan so we can start getting closer to a construction.
Okay, so we'll keep it on our list
Mhm.
and keep going. And then we had on their comprehensive park review that we wanted to basically inventory our parks and say what's good and what could be improved. And I just put question mark. I certainly think that, you know, that's a worthy
So
ask.
if I can make a comment on that, so we have the Tri-Community Master
Right.
Parks Plan, and that has a list, which some of it was included in the packet today. But then there also is one that goes into more details, right? So what I think we could do is if a few of us wanted to look at this in detail and go and visit the parks, when we do this asset plan, then we could contribute to that as well, saying these are the other things that we're thinking about. We also need somebody to come out and look at like aging infrastructure and actually make a
Yes.
determination on that.
Yeah, I love the
so-
report that's already out
Yep.
there that outlines, you know, its assets
Yep.
and what are some opportunities.
Yep.
And there's a whole list of each of our parks.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll keep it on the list and then maybe we make it as a little project.
Yeah, and one of the things that came up over and over in the master plan is tables and benches and things like that. And I know Scott would have some comments on that in terms of staffing and all that stuff too. But I think like, again, it's that the people are asking for this, so we could take that into consideration when we're looking at those things.
And we can try our best to just put some costs, like, you know, here's the
Thought
ask.
behind it.
How much is that going to cost? And is the community willing to pay for these things? So really, we're having a big picture conversation about what level of service are we really trying to achieve here?
Okay, so we will leave that on the plan. And then let's see, so now we're basically on to, oh, I guess I had them categories but before environmental. Anyway, the invasive species program, I think we got that one nailed. I'm gonna move on. Native plants, I think we've done as much as we can with that right now. Kalamazoo River Greenway, I said, should we remove that from our plan because it's really not a parks?
So I think we can remove it from this plan. What I would like to do is periodically put it on the agenda for updates as far as like what's going on. And then if there are people that are engaging with this committee that want to participate in the things that are going on, I think that would be totally appropriate.
Perfect, because I would love to keep, I would love to have the updates,
Same.
but it's
Especially if
not ours.
all of our municipalities are, have contributed money to the
Yep.
Kalamazoo River Greenway. We just want to continue working with you on partnerships as far as grants and
Yep.
and making sure that, we have a line of communication at all time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, I guess there was something up there about,
The
That was under sustainable?
I think it really goes under sustainable. I can't quite explain that, but anyway, so I had on there, engage with Michigan Green Communities Initiative as a question mark. I actually really like that idea. It hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, the issue has been is that it does take up some staff time. So the question now that we have Michelle is now at a more appropriate time to take up that conversation. And that would be, you could have a conversation with Scott and Michelle and Ryan as well, as far as like, do we want to take a look at tackling that?
Well,
Yeah, we can take a look into it and see what all's involved and take a little deeper dive on the time investment. But I can tell you right now, like after we're
Busy.
really full.
is engaging with Michigan Green Communities connected somehow with usage in city of herbicides and pesticides?
No,
So what is that from?
That's from the other page.
Okay.
yeah, but it didn't seem to be. So I don't know. Maybe that's a goof up.
I think
Something that I.
Right.
Kalamazoo River
Greenway.
It's
Ah,
in
thank you.
continuation.
Thank you.
of-
It's part of
That with that.
Yep, it
Yep.
just got cut.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dark Sky Initiative. So my comment basically was that I thought we had a really good effort in 2025. Thank you, Judy. And that we will obviously be continuing this in 2026 to the extent that, or we're recommending it be continued. Okay. Blue Star Trail, I think we can just reaffirm our commitment to that, but this committee has not been involved. There's nothing for us to do. So I'm going to move on. Streetscaping. And I think that we should chat about this one quite a bit because we've talked about it from the Butler Street. What could we do? It could be so different. It could be amazing. And what would drive our, be the catalyst for that is we have to do the water lines. And when I was looking at the capital improvements plan, didn't that say like 28?
2028, 2029 for Butler Street. It
Yeah.
does.
And so,
Do it.
so
Let's go.
that is not that far away if you
Yep.
want to start really
No.
brainstorming ideas. And so I thought we leave it on our list and, and we can think about that next year, how we want to, we obviously have limited resources. Who would want to work on that if council, but just to come to council with some ideas, it'd be like more like, just pie in the sky, like, let's just open our brains of what could it look like, because we're going to have this opportunity. And
This is also one of the things that I would love the Convention and Visitors Bureau to be a part of, because I know they have planning going ahead, and I'm sure they would love to help the business community with how Butler Street, has some brand new areas that I'm sure it's part of your plan as well, as far as making that look better. But yeah.
There's the what component of it, what is it going to look like? But then there's also the who is going to be responsible for it. I think like as our ordinance states right now, the property owners are responsible for the maintenance of their storefronts. Well, doesn't look great sometimes. And
And
So-
ice and everything else, yeah.
So in the absence of really taking that ownership, what's the next best option? Is that something that the city takes over and Public Works takes over? Well, that's gonna cost, and then we have to have that conversation of, do we want to pay for that as well?
Sure.
It's a
So I
big
say
conversation.
Leave it on.
Yeah, we'll leave it on. Okay, the Suck Suck sign on Holland Street, I said replaced and demolished.
Oh, it will.
So,
That's just perpetual.
So I have a question about that. So instead of, so you put the sign up, why not put a guardrail up so everybody hits the guardrail? Never hits the sign?
So it's in the township.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
in
my
the township.
jurisdiction. So, I know that Ryan and I have discussed,
it is.
we had received a quote from Robert Kraus, who is the creator of that sign, to rebuild a new one. It was 18 grand. So we decided that we
decided not to do.
we are not willing to put anything back up there until the township at least puts a guardrail up, but it's possible there may be some reconfiguration of that intersection
Yeah.
as a whole.
Another round?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the township is working on that.
Yep, okay, all right, then we're gonna take that off our list. Maple Street is obviously a project that's active and underway. I don't know if you need us to participate in that.
We did it.
Yeah.
We had the workshop discussions held last fall and got really good community feedback on what we were looking for. I think that we struck a nice balance of minimizing the amount of trees that were taken down, but also creating walkability and not, just kind of meandering the sidewalk around some of the healthier trees in that area.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay, so basically I had said, my suggestion was that's complete from our perspective. Obviously, the street's not done yet, but
The next one you might we could probably talk about would be Elizabeth Street, because there are sections.
Okay.
It's not the longest section of road, but Michelle and the city engineer and I walked it, and it was kind of funny because we determined that it's so close to a school, so like ideally it would make sense to have sidewalks on both sides of the street, the full distance of it, to create that connectivity. But when you actually look at it, there are really mature 200-plus-year-old oak trees in the way of it. And we were kind of laughing because we're like, yeah, anywhere that's easy to put a sidewalk, there already is one. So anywhere that there is not currently a sidewalk, it's going to take some construction and deconstruction of what's
Yeah.
there to make it happen.
But
So-
they're needed so desperately.
That's not both
Yeah.
sides of the street.
Well, you can think like even the first block, like from Allegan to Mason Street.
Yes.
The east side of
Yes.
that, there's no sidewalk.
And I
it's
saw,
all- there's-
besides school kids that walk in the street there, it's a blind hill. There's
Yeah,
like a
people
lot of,
come in hot.
I saw elderly people walking there, and of course the potholes are terrible. And I just felt terrible that they were having to walk in the street at that point. So I'm obviously,
For sure.
I'm hoping for sidewalks on either side, a sidewalk at that point.
There is more space on the west side of the street.
There is, but there's elevation changes. That's the biggest obstacle.
Okay.
Is that ADA compliance.
we're running long, so I just want to say, is this something that PPW committee should participate in?
I think we should be reviewing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we'll leave it on our list.
Well, I think it's adding to the list
It-
because you didn't have Elizabeth Street, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
So we need to add.
Right.
And really, that.
Yeah, I was thinking Park
engineer-
Street, but you're right.
Police and Vanderbrink is gonna be, really, they're gonna be the ones that council's gonna initiate the design. They're gonna come back with that first draft of the design. Then at that point, we have something to work off of. So it's not like we need to go out right now and provide that input before there's a preliminary design. That'll come after.
Okay,
Great.
okay, bicycle racks and fix-it stations. I said, I think the CVB has addressed this. Do we consider this to be complete?
I do.
I do. Okay, so
We don't have any fixing stations.
we
No.
don't.
No, I've
Fix-
seen those and those are fantastic. That is something that, I'll send you a picture of one that's in Ludington again.
We're working on it.
Yeah,
Is that what's
That's
going?
great.
Is there one in the township by the?
Yeah.
It's a great idea, or you're working on it. One
Yeah,
thing that,
I'll send you a picture
it
of one.
did come up with the Friends of the Blue Star Trail. There's a possibility. I don't, they were thinking of it along the trail, but we could suggest to
there-
them.
Where
If-
is it? Oh, got it. That is-
So,
How much are they?
no idea.
That's a good question.
I'll find that out.
All right, we'll leave the Fix-It station on the list. How's that?
Yeah.
Kayak launches is really part of Kalamazoo
Yeah.
River Greenway?
Yeah, so something that is happening right now with the Kalamazoo River Greenway, the idea that has bubbled up that the group wants to work on is a water trail. And so one of the things that they're working on is a development plan, which would look at, just like our parks, thing does, it looks at all of the assets and amenities that currently exist. And then also what would be a long-term plan for that. So that is something that's already being looked at.
So that's where I guess I'm asking, do we need it to be actively involved or promoting it, or do we basically just want to be informed as progress is being
I
made?
think both. I think we leave it on here, and once we get a few questions answered on street ends,
Yeah,
Okay.
and then.
definitely.
People
Okay,
in
sure.
ODC or Kalamazoo River Greenway will get their
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
involved in that too.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. Then we had our big picture projects, which we had Community Rec Center.
Mhm.
Dream.
Yes, so
That's what I
Um,
called them back then.
I know that this conversation, and Scott maybe can comment on this too, I know this conversation is ongoing, and this really is going to stem from the school district. I think they would be the lead in this, and I know that was part of the conversation that we've always had. So I don't know that it needs to be something that we are active in. I think it's something that we could be aware of, and when they're ready, if and when they're ready to move forward, if there's people that are a part of this committee that would like to serve on that as well, I think that would be appropriate.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna have a category of just, like kind of awareness or something,
Yeah.
but we aren't gonna be
Yep, I
active
agree.
on it. Okay, property acquisitions. I guess I had on here from last year. Can we acquire the Peterson Mill?
I hope so.
So, how about we just leave it on there? But I don't think we're gonna be super active on it.
I just think that mill would be just such a cool like CVB office, and
Love that idea.
I want a little nature center in there, I think would be so
That's
cool.
the dream section.
Exactly. Public art partnership, that was a really good suggestion.
That's something I think we should do, because I don't think we should have this happen again. The flower over here in the park, those are horrible. I talked to Mary Jo
I think
Lemansky.
you should look at the CVB director.
I think
Say
they're
that.
horrible. I think they are. I really do.
Oh, that's the way art is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Their own opinion about art.
I'm
Isn't
part
that
of
we're gonna add
fun?
sensitivity training to our list of needs for.
I think it was a great
Brian has the
idea.
floor.
It does not work.
Okay.
But I'm part of a group of 10 artists locally, and we have all come to the same conclusions. I mean, Mary Jo Lemansky, a couple other people that we would certainly be amenable to helping with that, finding people who are capable, they have a reputation and can pull it off. So I think going forward, if we can do something like that, we'll be much more successful.
Brian, would you be willing to be the lead on that project?
Someone came to the CVB with this idea, if your group of 10 experts.
They were told they weren't needed. So that happened.
So
So I'm just
So-
saying, I
so
think
Brian,
we
what-
can be much more successful.
what I hear you saying is that maybe that we could have a strategic plan for art. And I've talked with Kristen Armstrong about
It's
this.
about how to maybe approach it and find people who are, who would work in the spaces that we want public art to be. That's a more diplomatic way of saying.
Okay.
'Cause
Yeah, I
this-
mean, I think having a strategic plan and a process, because we've been through this before. I mean, we started with the Canary. So I think that would be a very helpful thing. And I think like including the CVB and the SCA and local artists, since we are an artist community, I think that would be a lovely thing, and come up with an actual stepped process of like how we do things, I think would be really helpful. So.
I think we leave it on the list because,
Yeah.
it could definitely use a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, tri-community connectivity. What, I know that was a key component of our parks plan, but I wasn't sure if there was anything we in this group needed to do to promote that.
It is an ongoing discussion with the Kalamazoo River Greenway, which is the, you know, the funding partners are all the municipalities. So that is, we meet quarterly. Those are discussions that we're having. Those are grants that we're looking for of how can we continue to connect all the assets, not just the non-motorized pathways, but everything. So again, if we keep Kalamazoo River Greenway on and we just continue to report on that, I think that could be a way. And if then things bubble up that we need sort of like sub-working groups, I think that we could go from there.
Okay,
We already have, Park Street. We know that we're gonna incorporate some pedestrian walkways to connect to Douglas. The Blue Star Trail, that's gonna add some connectivity. Especially like at the Maple Street intersection. Allegan Street's already connected, with sidewalk. Maybe North Street would be the only one. Holland Street's connected.
Yeah, so like paved infrastructure and then like rustic water trail. I mean, all of that.
well, I guess I would say we are maybe a little more passive participants,
Mhm.
unless you'll let us know if you need us.
Yeah, I'll do that.
We have enough.
Working with Scott.
Okay, and then we had Opal Beach infrastructure. We've already talked about that.
Mhm.
So I know that there's one member of our group who has a grand plan. Did you want to share anything?
Not right now.
Okay. A grand dream, I should say. Okay, and then then we had developed a gifting process, which I said, that is not we've been told that's not for us. So take it off our list. And then add staff, and it's like, well, we got Michelle. So, I don't know if we need to keep it on there that we need more staff,
Mhm.
but leave it on there. Okay, we'll leave it on there.
This is the feedback that I'm getting from my staff. I mean, if we have anyone calling sick, it's at the expense of service, and or just inefficient service. Like if anyone called in sick today, we would be running brush and leaf collection with fewer dump trucks, which means more diesel engines just waiting for more dump trucks. Like to provide efficient service, we need more staff.
Okay, well, I think what we would want to know from you, Scott, is what would be helpful. And then here again, this is us giving recommendations to council. So, we're more, obviously they're paying attention to what you're doing, but we're even a little, that's all we're focused on. So we can give them-
Maybe take it off the PPW's list, because really that I have to justify my case to the manager.
Okay.
Because I think I suspect he's probably going to have multiple city departments that are saying, I need more staff. So it's kind of up to us to iron out those details.
Okay, so real quick, what did we miss? Is there anything not on that we haven't covered that we should be thinking about?
That looks pretty exhaustive.
Well,
Gonna be busy.
I think anybody who has another list, they better hold their tongue for just a minute.
I'm gonna make a list, but
Okay,
what I'm gonna do
Except
is
Keith.
I'm gonna visit every park before our next meeting
Okay,
and see what's happening, see what's going on. I haven't done that in a long time. Visited them individually over the course of the years, but not all of them in one month.
It's something Kelly and I visited, Mount Baldhead Park the other day. The lower area of Mount Baldhead is in pretty rough shape, and Scott knows this.
Retaining wall, the parking lot. the
Yeah,
pavilion.
it's the area that goes down to the river. There's benches around there and everything, and it's just in really
Decking.
rough shape.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was paid for through maybe another organization at one time, but it was so long ago that, yeah,
Mount Baldhead definitely needs more work than what's being
Yeah.
done.
yeah.
But that's why I would love to add it to the asset management. Like
Well,
capital
and-
assets, and just look at and say, okay, like when do we have the money to redo that, and just have an understanding of what,
Yeah.
shape everything.
I want to, I just want to clarify, the city really doesn't have, in my opinion, doesn't have a good enough asset management plan overall at the moment. But this is a really, really important document. It should be like this committee, the city council, city staff's roadmap moving forward. That's not going to get created short term, like between now and February. What we want to bring forward this February is a start. So we'll start listing out all the city's assets. Anything that's over $10,000, we'll just get it in an inventory, take a collection of that, and we'll start developing plans. And this group should be very actively involved in recommending in what order certain projects come to fruition.
I learned when I was on condo board associations, you always did a reserve study, which basically looked at all of your assets that, you know, and how long, what was their life and what was gonna, when could you anticipate that that was gonna have to be replaced or, you know, maintained and what the approximate cost would be. And it's really like, we should be doing, I mean, something similar to that with our, not just our parks, but,
Yeah.
you know, with really everything.
Exactly the training that I just went through. I just graduated through the Michigan Infrastructure Council's Asset Management Champions Program, and that was a big component of the coursework that we took was, you know, like we have Mount Bald Head restrooms, for example, right now. It's going to be brand spanking new. So how long is the life of that asset good for? You know, if for that building, you're looking at an asset that's probably 50+ years. Well, it's not ideal to have a 50+ year asset management plan, but because the further out you go in years, the less accurate it's going to be. So really probably targeting, you know, capital improvements plan, that'll be like the 1 to 6 or 7 year plan. And then the asset management plan will incorporate all of those details, plus maybe an outlook of, say, 15 years or so would be reasonable.
Mhm.
You know, so that way, at least we're cataloging that, at least the maintenance items, you know.
Yeah.
Are we gonna,
Totally.
so when does this roof need to get repaired? Or, you know, we need 10 grand worth of HVAC to this building or whatever. So,
I actually learned that from being on all those boards, to think about that with my own home. Don't be surprised when your roof needs to be replaced and your furnace has to be replaced, and you need to be planning for those things because, you know, they all have to be maintained. So it's,
they all
it's
use
just a
more.
much bigger scale when you're dealing with it at the city, you know, city level here, so.
yeah, and it can be a daunting task, at least at first, because you just see all the needs out there right now. Like that's all we see is the thing that, and to fix those things immediately, it's not realistic. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. But that's why you're just taking bites out of it and making sure that we have to try to figure out how much does it cost for us just to maintain what we've got right now, you know, and not necessarily make improvements. And then from there, we can have conversation, and then we can figure out, are we spending enough money? Do we need more money? Do we need to throttle back spending or can we, you know, that's a community conversation to be had. So it's,
And every project we initiate, we should also have the maintenance plan associated with it. So-
and a disposal plan even, like if you're looking at the true life of an asset, how much does it cost to get rid of it?
Yeah.
Like once you're done with it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to conclude this discussion.
You
All
are.
right. We'll wrap it up at our December meeting as far as what we, you know, what our priorities are. I'll revise that table and we'll revisit it. And then here again, think about what's important to you. 2026 schedule of meetings was included in the packet.
Okay.
So that's just FYI. I think that's a requirement. So I think we're ready to move to public comment. So Lisa, you hung in here through the whole meeting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I wanted to thank you for listening to the warming station presentation and for the feedback. It's all valuable. One thing that I neglected to let you know was that when I presented to council last week, one of the things that was brought up is that they were concerned about resident sentiment and business owner sentiment about the warming station. So we put together a survey and it was sent out both to residents by the city, and we sent it out to all of our emails for business owners in downtown Saugatuck. And we're getting those surveys back as we speak. The majority of them have been very positive regarding the warming station. Only maybe, I think the last time I checked, maybe a third were concerned about the same things. Kids burning their hands, things like that. I want to switch gears because there's a couple things that make my ears perk up. Oval Beach and rebuilding the concession stand and things that you're looking at for the future. Please remember to keep the CVB in mind whenever you're looking at what plans you might have for Oval Beach for the future, because Oval Beach was one of those assets that is on our shoulder season strategy, and we have some ideas that we would love to discuss with you as well. Signage for parks, that was also on our radar several years ago when Ryan Heiss was here, and he and I talked about having consistent signage throughout Saugatuck, Douglas, and Fenville for all the parks. It makes a whole lot of sense. The Tri-Community Master Plan Parks Plan, this is the first I'd heard about this, I don't know why. But if you're doing something to update parks and please keep us in mind again, because we are probably going to be putting together a landing page on the CBB website, letting people know where all the parks are in the area, not just Saugatuck, but the township and Fenville as well. Streetscaping ideas, love to be involved in that. Streetscaping can be so much more, and even little things that add. Something that other cities have done is something as simple as painting the back of a stop sign black. It makes it disappear. I mean, there are a lot of little things that you can do that may be cost effective to also help with streetscapes besides beautifying it. I think that's it. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone online want to make a comment? Okay, I take that as no. So we're on to correspondence. I don't think we had any correspondence. Which brings us to committee member closing comments. And I don't remember what direction we went in last time, but
Start with Judy, because I know she needs.
I can see Judy's jumping right in the balls. I know you. It's so quick.
I just wanted to say, this has been a very, I mean, I know we have another meeting this year, but this has been a very productive year. I think everything that we've worked on has been very important. And I'm looking forward to continuing this work, especially with a list as large as we just reviewed.
Thank you.
Great
Brian?
meeting.
I think we covered a lot today. I think that by the next meeting, we'll cover more. We'll have our recommendations out. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Lauren?
Oh, yeah, I don't have anything further. Happy Thanksgiving. And I hope that city council can, after our strategic planning meeting, can have a list of priorities where we can be a little bit more organized with giving recommendations to PPW on what would be great projects to get your help on.
I would love that.
Yeah. I just want to thank everyone for all their hard work. I mean, there was a lot, I had the whole list too, and there's just been a lot accomplished this year. So I appreciate everyone.
Right, and I don't really have anything to add, so this was a long meeting. I appreciate everybody hanging in here as long as we went, thanks for everybody's participation. You're just all great. And Scott, did you want to say anything?
I talked enough.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Okay, second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, we're adjourned. Dang it.